All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 437 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we can talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. It's been a pretty busy week, man. Georgia Southern goes to Birmingham and lose to UAB. UAB was just a better team. I think we all understood that. I said this in the beginning of the season. I was more worried about UAB than Nebraska, and I think a lot of people starting to see why, because Nebraska was a pretty good team. I mean, not Nebraska, Nebraska was a pretty good team, but UAB was a better team. And also, we saw what happened with the Falcons, down by 3 or 4 scores, turn back around and try to make a comeback. And we saw what happened with the quarterback play. We're going to talk about both of those topics today. So hopefully you can hang around and give me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section if you're on YouTube and Rumble, or just follow me on Twitter at VFBaller. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, so you can subscribe to any of those avenues. I'm also on Patreon. I just did an extra episode, and on that avenue, I do extra episodes as well. So you can get one extra episode if you decide to pledge on Patreon. And that right there is, they always try to talk about things a little bit different outside of Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons, but it's still sports related. So hopefully you guys will check that out and see what that's about. Enough of that. Let's talk about Georgia Southern. Can they bounce back from this loss for the UAB? They play Ball State next. I absolutely think they can. So this is not really a no-brainer. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think that Georgia Southern is on the right path. I think they're going to be able to continue to go in an upward trend. But it's one thing they need to do. It's one thing they absolutely need to do, because I'm going to tell you now, Ball State sounds like a pushover. I don't think these guys are pushovers. They look pretty good. They just came off of a big game against Murray State. And we're going to analyze everything that they've done throughout this season as we do the preview and the pregame of Georgia Southern playing Ball State at Paulson. I think we have I think we're going to be fine, but you can't take no team lightly. You just can't. Especially with the tackling issues that we have, we might want to be a little bit more mindful of how we play football against our opponents. But we'll talk about that at a different time. I think they'll be able to bounce back. I think the coaching staff we have are pretty good. They do pretty well with adjusting throughout the game. And I think this is the first time we're going to see if they can adjust after a loss, because the first 2 games we won, we played very well. All things considered, I think the defense at best just need to tighten up on the tackling. We gave up a lot of third down conversions. We gave up a lot of big plays because of the lack of tackling with the first point of contact. So if we can get that done, we'll be a lot better off and get the offense a better chance to actually, be more productive. But I think outside of that, we should be able to bounce back easily. I could see us beating Ball State, quite handily. But that's just going to be if we play our game, because Ball State may have a little bit of confidence after beating Murray State. I think they beat them like 31-0. But at the same time, we're going to have to find a way to be technically sound, especially on defense. Offense, what we need to clean up on offense if we're going to bounce back. First of all, we need to get some separations, get some DBs. UAB did a phenomenal job of getting in our face, sticking to our wide receivers. It was very tough to get any separation. I think with the Nebraska game, they played more of a Nebraska played more of a zone. And that gave us a lot more opportunities to get open. And even when they played man, we actually was able to get some separation. I don't know what UAB did differently, but for the most part, they played a base man defense and just stayed in our faces. They didn't let anything get in front of them. Get behind them. And that could be the blueprint out on a lot of teams going forward. I just don't think Ball State may not have the personnel to keep up with what Georgia Southern can do with all of our receivers. So it should be a fun time. I'm not going to speak on it too much right now. I got to look at some Ball State footage. I have to look at some of their tendencies, because this game against Murray State, I think this was their first win, And what does that say about Murray State? Is it bad Murray State or good Ball State? So we have to look at that as well. So a lot of that is predicated on mostly what they did against Murray State and what we can do against Ball State. So very, very preliminary, very early, but I think Georgia Southern will be able to bounce back. I think we got the guys, we got the leadership, we got the determination to do it. The only thing we need is the execution. Leadership and execution. I mean, leadership and determination is great. Those are the things that you want in a team, but it also has to be predicated on execution. We need to be able to execute at a high level, especially on defense. Offense, I think we'll be fine. We didn't score the 50-plus points that we normally do, but we should be okay. We should be fine. I'm not really hanging my hat on this one game thinking the sky's falling. But if anything, we need to tackle. We absolutely need to tackle. No doubt about that. All right, I'm going to jump the ship and talk about something else. Hopefully you guys will follow me on this here. We saw what Marcus Mariota did in the last two games. He fumbled the ball when it was necessary to convert. He fumbled the ball. You saw what he did against the Rams. He threw an interception where you didn't give Drake London the chance to win the game for you with the out route, throwing the ball in the end zone. You threw it to Bryan Edwards, and the Bryan Edwards pass was picked off. I think Mariota is starting to be the problem. I do like this style of play. I do like his leadership. I love the way that he actually commands the game. But is it Desmond Ridder time? Because you can look good, you can look decent throughout the first three quarters, but when it matters, you're not making it happen. And I think the game against the Seahawks, which the Seahawks is a surprisingly decent team, but I think this would be the time where you would want to put, I think this is the time that you would want to put Desmond Ridder on deck. I think this is the time that you would want to put Desmond Ridder out there to see what you have. Now, this is where I say I really think this is the way to go at this point. There's nothing wrong with putting him out there now. You've seen 2 games of what Mariota can do. And I like Mariota. I just don't think he's it at this point. He single-handedly, in my opinion, lost 2 games for this team. We could have been 2-0 if it was possibly would have been 2-0 if we would have, not fumble when it was, not fumble against the Saints and not throw the interception. We tried to throw to Bryan Edwards when, like I said this on the post game thoughts. Drake London was on the outside one-on-one against somebody. Give the 6'5" guy a chance. And I'm not even going to talk about the whole situation with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts got little to nothing exposure throughout the fourth quarter. You got a 6'6" unicorn running down the field that nobody could probably catch if he gets in the open field. You're not even giving him the ball. That could be more about play calling than anything, but that's a different issue. Don't get me wrong. I like Arthur Smith and what he does. I like his attitude at times. I don't like the post-game stuff, but I like what he does as far as coaching. He seems like he's the guy that can do this, but you're pulling the string on your talent. And I didn't even want to make this about Arthur Smith per se, because I'm going to talk about him if it's 3 games in a row and stuff like this happen. I usually give coaches 3 games until I be like, all right, you ain't learned nothing. But these 2 games, and with Marcus Mariota, these 2 games have been solely on him. Your decision making did not, cost us the game. Your head's not in the game. You fumbled the snap. Your head's in the game. You didn't see. I ain't gonna say your head's not in the game. Your vision is not right, and you missed Drake London on a one-on-one. I don't care if he was covered. That's a one-on-one with a 6'4", 6'5" receiver. You take that chance. I'll take that chance any day. Instead of going up against, a 6'1", 6'2" Braylon Edwards, or 6'3" Braylon Edwards, that is covered by at least 2 people from what I saw. I'm not taking those chances. I will take the 6'5" one-on-one all day. But what do I know? I'm just a guy behind the microphone. I don't know this stuff. I'm just seeing what I see on the field and be like, yo, Marcus, what are you seeing? But nevertheless, the Hail Mary, we could talk about the Hail Mary as well, where he rolls to the right, or he didn't give a chance to go. He didn't give himself a chance to go to the left where you had all your receivers at to see if you can get that ball down there. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody please let me know if I don't know what I'm talking about. But I feel like this is a situation where there's just poor quarterback decision making, and you put Desmond Ridder in. Let us see what he can do at this point. And I think playing against the Seattle Seahawks, you're playing against another quarterback that's pretty much a journeyman. I'm not taking nothing away from Geno Smith. He is QB1. But when you're playing against a quarterback like that, he can give you opportunities for Desmond Ridder to go out there and possibly get the ball more than usual and make some plays. So with that being said, why not do so? I don't think the defense of Seattle is that great. The Legion of Boom is going. Bobby Wagner, we just played against Bobby Wagner. We just played against him. The LOB is not there anymore. They got an okay defense. But it's something that I think Desmond Ridder this would be a pretty good test for Desmond Ridder and see what he can do. I'm all for it. I don't see why I wouldn't be. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity to do so. I think the Marcus Mariota situation is cool, but I think it's starting to run its course really quick. It's starting to run very, very thin. I mean, you just don't give up 2 games like that and say, oh, I'm going to try them back out there, especially when you got a quarterback. If we saw in the preseason, there's known to make some plays and make some very smart decisions. That's one thing about Desmond Ridder. Before I close, I'm going to say this. One thing about Desmond Ridder we saw in the preseason, I know a lot of people say, oh, it's preseason, so that doesn't mean nothing. You cannot coach, you cannot put a tag on making good decisions when it comes to quarterback play. And we saw what he was able to do a couple of times. Even when he threw interceptions, he bounced back and did good things. The fourth quarter drive against the Lions, you saw what he did with that. I think he needs the opportunity to try to do something in a real NFL game. I don't see where the issues with that. So I feel that at the end of the day, Marcus Mariota is pretty much, I ain't gonna say it ran his course. I think I said that earlier. I don't think it necessarily ran his course all the way because he's still the starter. He still has some moments where he could do good things for the Falcons off because everything wasn't bad. It's just that the times when it counted, he just wasn't there. And with that being said, I think Desmond Ridder should get the shot to try to, make something happen or actually put the team in a position to see if they can win some games. Let's see what the kid can do. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, let me know what you guys think. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Also on YouTube and Rumble if you want to watch the visual side of this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Am I talking crazy? Do you think that Georgia Southern can bounce back? Do you don't think they can bounce back? What do you think about Desmond Ridder? You think it's time for him to roll? Or do you think it's time for Marcus Mariota to get a little bit more time? One more game for, do you think it's not just one more game for Mariota? Do you think it's the time for him to stay and play for the whole season and let Desmond Ridder come in later next year? I think it's time for Desmond Ridder to come and play. I done seen enough. These 2 turnovers, they late in the game. I've seen enough. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get up out of here. Thank you guys for listening or watching, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.